I watch a lot of true crime stuff. It's become this genre that's just exploded in recent years with streaming services and TV news programs and things like that. Everybody's all crazy about the murder. And that led me to watch this film, this Australian film, which you'd never know by watching it. Australian film from 2023 entitled The Speedway Murders, which is about an infamous, I guess in some circles, true crime circles, infamous unsolved case of what were known as the Burger Chef murders. Now, side note, as a kid, where I lived, we didn't have Burger Chef. We had Burger King, we had McDonald's, we had Wendy's if you drove a little farther away from my town. But Burger Chef, the first time I heard somebody say Burger Chef, I'm like, you mean Burger King, right? And he was like, no, Burger Chef. It was a regional thing and I didn't know what it was. Anyway, back in the late 70s in Indiana, this incident occurred where the entire night crew at a Burger Chef, which I think was like 4 teenagers, at the end of their shift disappeared and then were later found murdered in the woods, and nobody knows what happened. This film is a, I guess docudrama would be the right word, that takes a look at that case and approaches it from several different theories and investigative routes, including using reenactors, sure, it's a reenactment. Who acts in a reenactment? A reenactor. Using reenactments and actors to portray those people, but it's done in a way I've never seen before. This was really, really good. This is available streaming on Hulu here in the US of A, but if you want to own a copy, probably with extras, Umbrella Entertainment in Australia, who I believe produced the film or released the film over there, they have a DVD or Blu-ray. Little secret, I don't know if I should be saying this here, but if you live in the US, there are such things as region codes where discs, if you look on the back, if it's a Blu-ray, it's a little A, B, or C, and if it's a DVD, it says, 0, 1, 2, 3 sometimes. They are locked so that you can only play them in certain countries. The stuff that Umbrella releases, you can play here. Even if it says you can't, you can't. So anyway, I was going to call it the Umbrella Murders. The Speedway Murders, basically it sets up the scenario, and it's a very well shot recreation somewhere in Australia of this 1978 Indiana, Speedway, Indiana. That's what they call it, the Speedway Murders. Speedway named after being very close to where the Indianapolis 500 occurs. It recreates the inside of this Burger Chef in the parking lot in 1978, and it feels pretty authentic to me. When I went into this, I was like, I really don't like reenactments. They're usually really cheesy. There's usually a better way to do things, and just use stills and verbal explanations because they're usually not done very well. Here, they're actually good actors, and it's really well done. And you see them reenact various scenarios of what might have happened and how the bad person and who the bad person might have been and all this stuff. Not cheesy in the least, extremely well done. You have many people who were actually involved in the case, be it friends, family, witnesses, whoever, survivors, police, who appear on camera in interviews. So it's not non-actors acting the roles they were in real life. It's not entirely reenactments. It's not a dramatic film, although in a sense it sort of is. It's not a narrative film entirely. It really is a documentary that just has a very, very well done reenactments. But at some point, the fourth wall gets broken to a degree where the people portraying the victims start talking to the camera and saying, well, why would I have done this, or blah, blah. Or they start talking to each other in character as the people who disappeared about trying to figure out what happened to them. It's fascinating. I've never seen a film that does this kind of thing this way. And it's very creepy and disturbing. It's not explicit in any way. It's just disturbing in that you know the outcome for these people. And unlike most reenactments and a lot of documentaries, you feel like to a degree, you get to know these people, partly from friends and family describing who these people were, these kids, really, they were all teenagers, and partly by how they are portrayed very compassionately and humanely in the film. They're not just a bad reenactor going through the space so that you can see that the person was standing there. It's a performance, and it's a good performance. So I do want to mention the cast. I don't know if I'm going to get all the names right, but the cast is Davida, McKenzie, Essie, Randles, Joseph, Zada, and Naya Cofie, I believe, were all of the original kids. If I missed anybody, I'm sorry. This is really good. This is well worth seeing. This is something that I get emails from Umbrella Entertainment because I love their stuff and I occasionally buy from them. And I saw the title. I'm like, ooh, that looks really great. I really want to see that. And then I looked it up there's an app you should know about called Just Watch, which basically it combs most of the streaming services and tells you where something might be streaming if you want to rent it or buy it or stream it for free or whatever. And I found out this was on Hulu. So this is one of a million things buried on Hulu with no fanfare. It is absolutely worth watching if you're a true crime fan. And even if you're not, it's really well done. And it makes you just feel sad for these people, for these kids, and for the fact that it's never been solved. And the police allegedly are still working on it. The more time passes over decades and decades, I always figure, how is it possible to solve a crime where the evidence, the incidents, evidence, and people involved can be so far gone? I commend when, like, the Golden State Killer, the fact that they found him, that was mind blowing. That so much later, modern technology and genealogy websites allowed them to find this horrible person. Anyway, we're not talking about that. We're talking about the Speedway murders on Hulu. Very, very good.